Hello there. Welcome back to Maximum Weight Challenge. We are going to continue where we left off, which was after the 5th race at Miami. We're about to head into Imola. Currently 5th with 33 points, about 10 times as many points as has, or 11. And it's generally where the board wants us to be, so we're going to be playing this first season a little bit more boring and conservative and focus on research. We've already gotten started here, as you can see. We are doing a little bit of suspension design here. But generally, what we're going to do is going to have to research just due to the fact that the maximum weight here that we've added to the car has kind of, in my view, given us a bit of a realistic way to look at development, because we haven't had any major gains here. We're kind of exactly where we started in terms of car performance, maybe slightly improved to be fair, but yeah, it seems to be a little bit more, as mentioned, realistic. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to develop. And as I probably said last time, this year we are going to be focusing a lot on research in order to try and make the car good for next year. And potentially this is going to take us a few seasons to really get sorted. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do here. I think we are going to have to play a little bit more careful though, and just develop our facilities, do a little bit of research, and hopefully we can have a car that might, just might, next year be a little bit closer for closer in terms of causing problems for our opponents. Now, also over the course of this series, we'll be doing something a little bit different in terms of our powertrain components. We're going to do what the AI does and have a little bit of a look at how that is going to affect our pit crew. So we're doing a couple of different projects here. And honestly, I think it's gonna be quite fun to test out. But yeah, we are in 5th. Board wants us to be in 5th. We can kind of happily stay here and try and develop the car for next year. And that is kind of what we're going to be doing. But at the same time, we are going to try and score some points and see how things go. We are going to keep on developing the car as much as possible. And at the current stage here, we kind of have everything that we can on the car we have achieved and we have upgraded, but we are going to get an additional suspension upgrade. So let's see how this goes. Let's jump directly into Emilia Romagna. So I want to go a little bit more in depth about what I said about pit crew and not switching components for practice and quali. Well, we're going to be switching out major damage components, but we'll be running engines to, well, in this case, lower than 30. The gearbox at 10% might be a little bit too much, so we'll be switching that one out. But generally, we'll be running the components quite a little bit down into... we'll be wearing them out quite a bit here, because as it turns out, switching these components, if you switch engine, ERS, gearbox to both cars, you can expect to get about 15% extra pit crew fatigue, which is going to hurt the training a bit. And as mentioned, there's no chance for us to get really a one season win here with the maximum weight. So we are going to focus on testing for this season at the very least, not switching the components as much as possible, and we'll be focusing on actually training a good pit crew that's going to help us out later on. So that's kind of the idea here. Let's see if we can actually put it into you know, reality. Another thing that we're going to be experimenting a little bit more with over the course of the season is, instead of starting on full attack with a soft tire, we're going to be starting on light and kind of try and extend the life of the tire a little bit. And basically, we're going to be a little bit slower at the start of races here. You'll have a bit of a look. But the idea is very simple. We start on a tire that is, in theory, quicker than the cars in front of us. In this case, both cars have started on the medium tire. And because we're on a soft tire, we can run light without really losing too much to the cars in front. We aren't really losing anything to, say, Stroll at the moment. And basically, we are just taking care of our tires from the get-go. We're going to be a little bit slower if, you know, we're going to get overtaken if someone else behind us, say, uses a soft tire. But if we believe that the rest of the grid is going to, say, use a medium, going to use a hard, then we can basically run light, save tire from the get-go, and not suffer as much. Of course, it's going to depend on a couple of factors to make this work. If you go attack, we might do a couple of overtakes, but again, the tire we save is going to make overtaking a lot easier later on. So that is kind of the idea behind this. It's not going to work on every track, let's be perfectly honest, but the reason why we do this with the light soft is because it's already at the temperature once you start a race. So you don't need to heat it up, you don't lose any time heating up the tire while also taking care of it. And that is kind of the idea here. So those are two things we're going to be doing as side projects for this maximum weight challenge. And I think we kind of are going to need a couple of side projects just due to the fact that this is going to take at least 2 seasons. Probably more. We might actually have to go to the big relation change season to get it done. You can already see here now, we're actually falling behind Stroll a little bit. That's actually what we expect. Stroll is technically in a quicker car. But usually what you'd see is, if you hold on to your positions, you'd be able to kind of keep them. And after 10 or so laps, the others around us are going to start slowing down. Because even if they are on the quote-unquote quicker tire, they're going to be wearing it out much quicker. And the AI has a tendency to go full attack and then go light after they've destroyed their tires. And that's when you'll reel them back in. So we'll see if, in another 10 laps time, if we've done a little bit of reeling here compared to Stroll, or if we stay where we are. Honestly, I don't think we can reel Stroll in. He's pretty quick, but already we're kind of holding our own here, I dare say. So we haven't really been able to reel Stroll in, but we have been able to kind of hold our own here in still net 8 and 9th. So let's see what we do in terms of dealing with Hamilton. And I think, honestly, what we do here is just run full attack. Going to be pitting Ocon on the next lap. Not this one, the next one. And then we will be pitting Gaston lap after that. So Stroll does actually pit right now. I don't think we're going to be quick enough to really jump him, so to speak. But I think we will still be able to retain the 8th and 9th potentially through this race, which is going to be the goal for this season. Just get the last couple of point scoring positions. And I do think that that is not going to be too much of a big deal, as basically everyone ahead of us pits, as well as Hamilton, and we do actually beat him out. So we're going to need Gasly here to have a good stop, so that Hamilton doesn't use DRS to get the overtake done. And that might be a little bit more than we... that might be a little bit difficult here to pull off. We'll have to see if Gasly has a clean stop, if he comes out in a good position. And Hamilton is already kind of launching an attack here and might pull it off. He did, but I'm thinking we're going to have Ocon immediately re-attack, if that makes sense. Try and take that position back. But even then, if we drive with Hamilton, that's fine. It's not really a big deal. Let's see what we can do. I'm not going to put him up to full attack yet. That seems like a terrible idea. But yeah, I don't think it's much of a problem if we run with Hamilton here. He is going to be a little bit quicker than us. We probably should have started pit stops 1 lap earlier than we did, so we'd have both of our cars pitted by the time Hamilton did. We basically just kept him behind us by the power of DRS. So, unfortunately, Hamilton has been kind of given leeway here. But I feel like, again, starting on the light stint there for the soft is viable. But it's, again, very circumstantial. I don't think I would do that with mediums. I think soft would be the only tire I'd dare do that strat on. And it's particularly helpful on these tracks where we do one-stoppers. But yeah, unfortunately, Hamilton has gotten away. We are going to just try and maintain at this point. And judging by the fact that we have better tires than every car behind us, I think we'll have no problem maintaining this position until the end of the race. And we might even be lucky and get a extra position or so if someone has an incident. So as mentioned earlier, we might have an opportunity. And in this case, we have a safety car. Russell and... is that Stroll? Oh, that is a Aston Martin out, I think, and a little bit of damage to Russell. But it is a safety car, and it was actually Alonso, not Stroll. That's my bad. But Russell also, broken tires at the very least. Albon is going to pit here. I think what we do is we pit too. And with that, we can actually go full attack till the end. And because we were being very, very cheeky, we actually have a medium tire that we can use for this purpose. So it's going to be a bit of an aggressive way of doing things, but I think it's going to be the best way to do things. And our best option here is probably just going to be to double stack. Alpine is, well, a little bit further back, so we should be clear of him. He's going to be pitting anyways because he's running 36 durability hards. He's had a small incident as well. And as I said, I do think a lot of these cars are going to be opting to pit. So, worst case scenario, we fall down to where Tsunoda is. With 15 laps to go, I think we can get the overtakes done. So, we're going to double pit here. Double pit, double stack. And try and make something happen. As Paris, Russell, Stroll has all pitted, Hamilton going to do the same thing. He is. So, I think we're going to be seeing it basically every car here kind of pitting. And they have. So, yeah, we maintain our positions. And we now have fresher tires. Soft tires for a lot of these cars is not really a surprise. But the fact that Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc has all been kind of punished here with the fact that they couldn't pit, that's going to be a bit of a paddling. And they do pit. They're going to come out so far behind everyone else, and that's another couple of positions for us. We're now up into 5th and 6th there. Okay. This could be a bit of a fun little end to this. And with Russell having a penalty here, and he too opting for a medium tire, we could potentially, just maybe, snatch an even higher position by dealing with that, well, by staying within 5 seconds of him. So this is going to be a fairly interesting restart. 15 laps to go. As mentioned here, we can go full attack till the end. Now, the soft tires are, of course, going to have a slight advantage, but that advantage shouldn't be terribly huge. 3/10 currently. Takes about 15 laps for them to lose advantage, but on the other side, they can't run full attack. We can, and that's going to make things a little bit different here. Yellow flag. What happened? Oh, I thought it popped up with another yellow flag. So as you can see here, the softs have already lost about 10% durability, and that's under the safety car. So if they go aggressive, they're gonna suffer. Now we're gonna keep it neutral on this track because you can't overtake before the timing line, anyways. But if you aren't careful, we actually we are gonna have to deploy. Verstappen is behind us. Let's face it, Verstappen is gonna fly by us. There's just no way around that. Do I want to just get him out of the way early? I think that would be the key. But what I'm thinking is that we do not use ERS on the restart. The reason being, as I said, you can't overtake before the timing line, so you'd end up just wasting a lot of energy for no gain really. And we're gonna start doing a little bit of push now that we are actually, well, we don't need to do it right now. We can wait until we get to the end of this lap. But that was a good restart. Verstappen is someone that we need to look out for, of course. He's already launching a bit of a... he's searching, just zigzagging there very aggressively. But I think what we need to do now is actually do a little bit of deployment to make sure that we stay with the car in front on the main straight. The RS isn't going to be available yet. So we're going to need to push. We need to stay with Hamilton. We need to stay with Russell as best as we can. Verstappen has overtaken Gasly, which isn't really that big of a surprise. I don't think really we can fight Verstappen. But if we can, as I said, stay with the Mercs, that would be a huge, huge benefit to us. And Sainz is also coming up here now as a bit of a danger. So it's going to be one heck of a fight here to keep our positions. Okay, we are still within DRS for both cars. We still have a bit of an opportunity here, I think. Did Gasly fall out? Yeah, he did. but we still have energy, so we might get back into it. But yeah, interesting that that situation actually happened like it did. And it has now put us in a bit of a interesting spot here. And we have used all of our energy now to catch up to, well, stay within the DRS of the cars in front. But the DRS train here could actually be really, really beneficial for Ocon. I don't know if I want to turn him down, though. That's the thing. Because if I turn him down, we might get in trouble. And even then, we should be fine with just running things as they are. Gasly will be able to stay with us. The only problem here is going to be Verstappen. How much is he going to waste his tires trying to overtake us? Probably not even wasting them at all, by the looks of it. And we're going to try and recharge here with Ocon and then launch an attack a little bit closer towards the end of this. So we might have a bit of a problem here as Russell is now slowly losing out the gap here to Hamilton. Again, the goal here was just to stay with Russell to take advantage of the penalty that he has. But the gaps here are starting to stretch a little bit, and as I mentioned, that's a bit of a problem for us. But as it looks here, with we're now getting high on, well, every tire, we could potentially be able to make something happen. But the Ocon here has started to burn tire more aggressively over the last couple of laps. Should still be okay, but we are just going to have to give it our all here and just push as hard as we can. As mentioned here, Russell losing a ton of time in the last, over the course of this last lap. So we'll see what we can do. 2 laps to go. I think for Ocon, we are going to try and, well, we don't really need to do the overtake. That's the thing. We just need to defend our position and protect Gasly from the 2 Ferraris. So we actually don't benefit from doing an overtake here. We benefit from keeping Ocon where he is to protect Gasly. And we're going to finish ahead of Russell anyways with both cars. So yeah, there's no reason for us to launch any sort of attack here. That's the best way I can describe our current situation. And we might do an overtake here now in the final straight just because we're quicker. For DRS, we're closer. Looks like we are safe. And for Gasly as well, he is still ahead of the Ferraris. It is difficult to overtake. So I say we're doing a very, very good job here with the tools that were given to us, and we have probably been an incredible nuisance for Verstappen, as now everyone is running out of tire, including ourselves. Can Ocon hold off? Gasly could not, however. He ran wide. That's incredibly unfortunate, because if it didn't, I think he'd be able to keep the Ferraris behind.
That won't help their chances, and they'll find.
And unfortunately, I also think that means that he is not getting Russell. Most likely, unless we can really, really push. That's a bit of a bummer. And for Ocon here, it's going to come in potentially 4th place, which once everything gets sorted. And Russell 9 seconds. Gasly did actually manage to stay within 5 seconds of him, so at least we get a little bit of a promotion there.
Okay,
But a bit of a shame that we actually lost a chunk of points from that running wide on the final lap. And to be fair, we did get these results with a severely damaged engine, so it's not too shabby to just not switch by looks of things, just from performance perspective. But yeah, 50th for Ocon, 8th for Gasly. Russell gets demoted to 9th. So I think we'll take this. That's an extra 12, 16 points. That's not bad. 4th place is probably not what we expected at all. And that actually keeps Ocon just a singular point behind Russell at this point. Constructors, we are still 5th here. Williams scored their first point. But potentially we could catch up to Mercedes. The question is just going to be, do we want to catch up to Mercedes? And the answer that I'd have to give to that question is probably not. And the reason is we get more CFD time if we finish 5th. If we're not going to win, it doesn't matter where we finish as long as the board doesn't get upset. Very minor upgrade here on the side pods. And I believe that the idea was that we're going to be using CFD time, sorry, not side pod, suspension, CFD time to upgrade them further. Because suspension is one of those parts that has very little extra weight. And as such, we can actually go ahead and not lose as much when we invest time into said suspension. So this is what we're going to be doing. It's pretty straightforward. We want to boost our top speed. We want to boost our low and medium speed cornering. We're probably just going to do low speed cornering once we've finished this design. And we want to boost brake cooling and airflow front as well. So this is what we'll do for this one. We're going to need to make another one, of course. That shouldn't come as a shock, really. And I'm going to go ahead and rush these because we're going to have, most likely, a little bit extra money running on this one. So we're going to do this. This is going to be our last upgrade. It's just to make sure that we can be a little bit competitive towards the end of the season. Probably would have been better to just put it into research if you wanted to be really min-maxing. But I also want to upgrade the car a little bit more. Give us a chance to potentially end up in a bit of a better, maybe snatch a podium over the course of the season itself. Luce and Gasly are losing affinity. Well, just going to have to be the way that it is. And as mentioned here, the engines are kind of broken. The RSs were broken too. So it shouldn't come as a shock that we weren't as quick as we should be. But honestly, we're not really losing a lot of pace, even running with a majorly worn engine. So it's going to be okay. I'll just be on the safe side here. I think we're going to go ahead and just make one suspension. Could just go ahead and make 2 to be in the safe side. So let's do that. As suspension is a medium risk component currently. And we are going to be heading into Monaco, which could be a very interesting affair in its own right. Because, well, quality is going to be incredibly important. So let's see what we can do there. But for now, nothing else to really say. Let's go to Monaco. For Monaco here, the strategy is going to be simple. We're going to do a bit of a split strategy because Ocon doesn't actually have 2 fresh softs, so this is the quick strategy available for him. We're going to go aggressive on the medium here. We're starting 7th and 9th, so we'll be trying to get as many overtakes as we can as early as possible. And that goes for both Ocon and Gasly. Then we'll, in Gasly's case, jump onto 2 softs. In Ocon's case, soft and then medium. However, this is going to be highly dependent if we can get overtakes done. So we'll have to see how that pans out. And we're also going to head here and install the new engine and a new gearbox as we have hit the orange zone, which is what I kind of want to experiment with. We've done the same here for Gasly, but we are going to keep on using the ERS a little bit more. So with that said, let's just get everything sorted. And we're going to jump into Monaco here. And honestly, as I said, this season is going to be a bit of a builder season. So even a 7th and 9th here is going to be acceptable. And it is what it is.
Exciting races in the world. This is the Monaco Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Away we go. Ocon might have jumped a car here. A Mercedes. Can he hold on? Maybe I'm going a little bit too quick here. No, I can't hold on. Gasly is getting re-overtaken by Stroll, unfortunately, but might be able to send it into the corner here. And I'd always be very happy if you can just stick it in there and get past, but looks like we have no luck on that. So we retain our positions here at race start in Monaco, which is an acceptable result if you ask me. And apparently we also lost our music, so a good start here. But yeah, we are retaining at the moment. I think we're going to go ahead and out into a neutral on the ERS. We're going to start saving a little bit of energy here because, again, overtakes is going to be kind of crucial. But at the same time, we are not really close enough to get any overtaking done. So let's see what we can do here. Stroll is actually more likely to overtake us than we are to overtake the car in front. And all of these guys actually started on hard tires. That's very interesting. That means that we might be able to jump them in the pit stop phase, potentially. So we'll see how this goes. For now, we'll just allow things to kind of progress as they are. And unfortunately for us, Stroll does kind of get the overtake done there. But it is what we expected. If Gasly and Ocon keep Russell behind, I think we'll be happy with that. But yeah, Stroll, even if we do have, you know, Monaco advantage, it's going to be hard to keep him behind. For now, though, we'll just allow things to progress until we get to the pit stops here. And then we shall see if we maybe, just maybe, can jump some of the hard runners in front. Ocon, as the mad lad he is, actually did get Stroll. And he might actually try and move here on Hamilton as well. So we're currently in a position where Stroll is taking a little bit more care of his tires than we are. So that could lead to us being able to get some overtaking done in the early phase here. But as you can see, there's a DRS train forming, and that's going to make overtaking a little bit more harder, but we'll try our best here. And Ocon is fighting currently with Hamilton, but he gets maybe the move done. We'll have to see here. Can he keep it on the inside? He can. And with that, we're now free to start chasing down Alonso. Gasly, as mentioned, is still in a bit of a DRS train here, so he's going to have to wait a little bit before he gets any chance of overtaking. But Ocon here, I think, if we deploy, could potentially, probably not on this lap, but on the next, create enough of a gap to Hamilton that he can have Hamilton kind of act as a barrier to the cars behind, which is going to hurt Gasly, let's be honest, but it's going to be really, really beneficial for Ocon. So, while we are going to try, of course, and get Gasly a little bit forwards here, it is probably going to be a little bit difficult because, as mentioned, there are a couple of cars ahead in a DRS train, and that does make it more challenging. But I have hopes here, as Stroll also gets an overtake on Hamilton, and you can kind of see just how slow the hard tires are. And I think we'll be seeing a little bit more of that later on. Now we're getting very closer to our pit stop window, and this is going to be crucial. So we're going to do a little bit of a strategy meeting here to decide what we want to do. So currently, we're getting very low on these medium tires. They're going to last probably just a few more laps. Now, if we take a quick look here at our reports for the time considerations, 21 seconds is generally what we lose during a pit stop. So currently, we are running 16 seconds here, so 21 would mean 37 would come out around Sargent and Norris. And for, 21, yeah, would be 37. This guy would come out behind Norris and Sargent, but ahead of Bottas and Show. Now, the interesting part here is that a lot of them are running, as you can see, soft tires. They're running medium tires. They're running, basically, Bottas the only one with a hard tire behind us, with the exception of Hamilton here. And as such, we can do a little bit of a cheeky strategy in that we are going to run these tires completely into the ground because there's no reason for us to pit. We're going to end up losing more time pitting earlier than we are running these tires absolutely to shambles. And you can probably get at what I'm thinking here. We're going to destroy these tires and get everyone else behind us as close to pitting as possible as well. We're probably going to save time on that. We're still gaining time. So let's say that Ocon managed to come out ahead of Albon. That would be huge. But let's face it, he's probably just going to come out ahead of Norris and Sargent. And to be fair, that would be an acceptable outcome. Currently, we're basically thereabouts. So I think for Ocon here, we're going to deploy for a couple of laps. Try and get that extra second and a half that we need. And then we're going to be pitting him on, not this one, but the following lap. I think that's going to be the play here. That way he has 5 seconds up to the other DRS train, which isn't really a lot. Probably going to catch that in just 2 or 3 laps. But we basically have to pit right now for the strategy to have any chance of working. But at the same time, we need to heat up the tires. Maybe he won't catch up super quick. Gasly's also in a tad bit of trouble here, so I think we're going to just pit him as well. And there is enough of a gap between them, just about, so we can pit both of them. But if there is a pit stop error here, it's going to hurt quite a bit. So we'll have to see what everyone else does. As I said here, 50-40% here. Well, that's Gasly. We should be seeing some other cars pitting soon too. Decent stop there for Ocon. He's going to come out actually into traffic there, but not the worst place ever. And Gasly does beat Sargent and Norris out, which is the important thing for him. So let's see what we do now. We are going to have to do a little bit of work to get back up into position, and also to be able to hopefully jump, as I said, Alonso maybe if we're lucky. We're getting closer to the pit stops here, and if we take a look at Alonso, for instance, we are probably not going to be able to jump him. That was probably a little bit of wishful thinking from our side. We did lose a little bit of time going through the other cars here, but Hamilton, Stroll, both of them, we should be able to jump here quite happily, if you will. So it's still looking good for, our intents and purposes. And unfortunately, I did want to condense this episode a little bit more, but if I want to have anything out this weekend, this is probably going to be it, because as I mentioned at the start, I've been a little bit sick. I've been coughing a whole lot this whole week, had a little bit of fever, and just generally not been able to record without it sounding like a hospital wing. So, yeah, bit unfortunate that, but it is what it is. Hopefully, I'll have a little bit more time this coming week. Hopefully, I'll be able to stop coughing. But yeah, Apologies for the lack of videos.
Tires up to temperature.
We're still gonna power through here, but yeah, I think at this point we're just gonna allow the time to run to the next pit stop. We are gonna be jumping Stroll and Hamilton at the very least, so potentially here we could be in contention for 6th and 7th.
So here we go, heading
So things are currently looking fairly good here as Ocon has now overtaken Hamilton, who's still on the hard tyres. So at the current stage, both we and Hamilton need to do a final pit stop. I can imagine Hamilton's going to do it on this lap. I don't think we're going to be able to create enough of a gap that we can pit ahead of Hamilton and stay ahead of Hamilton. But I think that's a gamble that we are going to try and pull off here. We're going to be pitting on this lap. We're going to come out in 10th, potentially, behind Russell. But if we can just keep Ocon ahead of Hamilton by pitting, that's still going to be a very, very acceptable result. And we do have about a second here on him going into the pits. And he did pit this lap, so this is going to be a fairly important pit stop for us. As Hamilton pits there, we are slow. Of course we are. 4.6 seconds. So, unfortunately, the pit stop issue there did sabotage the strategy, and we'd actually be out ahead of Russell if we didn't have that issue, I think. So, double whammy there for our boys. And that is frustrating to see, of course. But yeah, Ocon now is going to have a bit of a hard job ahead of him, with Hamilton on fresh softs and Russell on all the hards by the end of this. So, yeah, we'll have to see what we can do. Potentially that puts the Mercs ahead of us, which is not great. And for Gasly's sake here, he can't actually pit and come out ahead of them. He is going to come out behind Ocon no matter what we do. So I think we're just going to go ahead and give the pit order here, although he is at the final corner. I think it should be... Nah, it was a little bit too late. We'll go attack for one more lap. But yeah, unfortunately, I think that pit stop did kind of mess up what otherwise was a very good race. So Ocon is doing well again. He got Russell this time around. And that is a lovely move. And that is as ahead of Russell. We can now start hunting down Hamilton. But you can kind of see just how much quicker Hamilton is compared to Russell here, as Hamilton's 11 seconds up the road. So I think both Gasly and Ocon is going to get Russell by the end of this. But we'll have to see if we have any luck hunting down Hamilton and Stroll. Final lap here of the Monaco GP. We're currently running 8th and 9th, which is kind of what we expected. Unfortunately here, we couldn't catch up to Hamilton. We're still 4 seconds behind, but we have been pushing with both cars, as you can see. So we give it an honorable attempt. So probably a little bit too aggressive on the early pit stop, maybe. That would be that could be it. But yeah, it is what it is here. Yeah, and thanks 8th and 9th is still very acceptable to what we're trying to achieve.
Everybody around.
All right, 8th and 9th. Verstappen wins, Perez 4th. Maybe Ferraris are coming a little bit back here. We'll see. With that, we retain, Ocon moves up to 8th ahead of Russell. Gasly retains 10th. And Constructors were still fairly decently stuck in 5th. And as I said, that's kind of going to be the goal this season. And I think I'm going to sit down next time and make a more condensed episode. But I just haven't had, as I said, the form. I've been sick, basically. I haven't been able to think. I did try and sit down and play, and I immediately almost threw up. So, yeah, did not work. Race Sim has reached its peak here at 100% extra development a week. We'll take that. Team Hub is still being upgraded. We are doing that for long term. As our sporting director is also upgraded to 90 overall, which is pretty good. And if we take a quick look here at the Race Sim, car parts, everything's looking nice. Which it should, let's be honest. We kind of built our car to last at this in this challenge. Next up, I do want to take a quick look at the pit crew, because we did switch some components last time around. So we do need to adjust the pit crew because of that. And as you can see here, they are going to go tied into next week. I think we're just going to do this, allow them to rest, and that'll be okay. So it is what it is. We'll allow them to rest this month. They need to after switching components. And this is huge, the factory level 3. Well, it's not huge on this save, let's be honest. But it would be huge. It's pretty decent to have upgraded. Financially, we're looking fairly good here. We could consider starting upgrading some of these other buildings. I don't think we need to right now. It's not going to matter much for this season anyways. What's going to matter is the next season.
So we're going to start building those towards the end of this year. Chassis research has been completed, and we get some more cooling, we get some more airflow middle, drag reduction, and honestly, I think we're still going to keep on focusing on, as I said, chassis. We don't need the airflow sensitivity much for the underfloor and the rear wing, but we do need any type of cooling we can get, any kind of airflow we can get, drag reduction, all that is kind of important to us. So we'll just keep on focusing on both of those aspects for at least a couple more researches. Let's see, we do have the monthly tick over, which should give us the update here. We're still basically the 5th best or so car. We are terrible at following. But still a pretty decent car. That's ability and reactions for Ocon. Braking for Gasly, I'll take that. And for the pick training this month, let's see what we can do. So, we're going to Thursday here, 15%, 43%. We can expect this to be the actual percentage that we're going to see, because we might switch ERSs, we might not. So I say we start training here. And let's just first and foremost make sure that we don't lose anything this month. That's going to be the goal behind training. Put in a bit of a rest day maybe, or nah, we'll be fine. Do it like this. And we can actually do a little bit more gym. And just for good measure, a pit stop drill. Like so. That'll be okay for Canada. Still not going to be amazing, but it's going to be okay. And as I said, it's kind of hard to keep your pit crew to not lose pit stop times, particularly on months when you have 3 race weekends. That's going to be even harder. So training pit stop time right now is going to be a pain, no matter how we do it. And we do not wish to go into tide while doing it as well. Let's try and avoid that. But yeah, we're going to be focusing a little bit on everything with this year's pit crew. Should probably also try and keep the pit stop drills low. But the goal, I think, is just going to keep the pit stop time as is for the time being until we get the chance of error down. And that is going to be the idea here. So I think we're going to be able to pull that off pretty good. So yeah, there we go. This is what we're going to do this month. A little bit of a lowering of the chance of error there. Car building gets a little bit of a boost. But I think it's, again, I think this is an acceptable way to set up your pit crew with the new strategy. With that, we're going to head into Spain, which is probably going to be the last race of today. As I said, been a bit sick. It has basically been a lot of other things that I need to get done today, which is very unfortunate. Races today as well. Well, not race, the sprint and the quali. And of course, when I get sick, Newey decides to leave Red Bull. So, been a lot of weird stuff happening in Formula 1 whenever I feel under the weather. And I don't know how I feel about that. Probably I should stop getting sick. But yeah, let's jump into Spain. Let's see how things go.
As mentioned earlier, the strategy that we're going to be employing is switching out the car parts once they turn, well, major damage. So we're going to go ahead and crack open a new ERS to see if both cars, as Gasly's car also is a percentage point away from this ERS turning orange. Again, it's a little bit of wasted durability here, but I think it's going to be fine. Let's see how we do in the qualifying for Spain. Quali went fairly well here, 8th and 9th, so we are in that, as I said, 5th best team status right now for sure. 4th best team, arguably, but again, 5th is going to be the goal this season, and we're just going to jump directly into the Spanish GP here. And Spain is basically one of the harder races this season because of the high deg, so we're going to have to make a little bit of a decision on how we want to play said race. And what I am thinking is that maybe try and do something a little bit more cheeky. I would say a hard tire, but that it won't really save us any time. As you can see, we could start on a medium tire or use a medium tire here. That's going to work too. Honestly, there isn't really much you can do in terms of saving time. Even a strategy like this is just going to save us about 3 seconds compared to some of the base strategies. And even then, you barely have any extra time, but apparently this one can be pretty quick using a standard hard stint. And it's not quicker than this one, unfortunately, but it can be potentially pretty quick. I think I have an idea here that I want to test out, but as mentioned, I don't see us getting any extra time out of this, no matter how we kind of juggle this hard stint. We're going to end up
basically be around the same time. So we're going to use soft, medium, soft for both cars, and we're going to start on the soft tire here. The reason why we're starting on soft tire is, well, we don't have to heat them, which is actually pretty beneficial. So that is why we're going to go ahead and do that. We're also going to start running light, which is going to potentially hurt our confidence a little bit, but it'll save our tires and we'll get that confidence back towards the end of the stint. We aren't going to be focusing on, you know, getting away from other cars much, because we are going for 8, 9 around thereabouts. So even if we do drop a little bit of confidence, it's not a huge deal because of our position where we are going to be fighting back and forth. We should be able to get that confidence back. With that said, let's see how the race start unfolds.
The stage is set. One of the oldest races on the Formula One calendar. This is the Spanish Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
Lights out, away we go. Gasly, Ocon so far has held on to their positions. We are starting on the soft tyre. That shouldn't really be too much of a surprise. There are some hard runs out in front. That's kind of interesting. And the only positional changes that we've had are between our drivers themselves. So I say that's an acceptable beginning. We also have Magnussen and Alonso behind us. So let's see how that goes. If we have Magnussen behind, we're probably a little bit more secure than if we have Alonso behind. But yeah, these first few laps, as I said, we could end up losing positions. It's not going to be a big deal if we do. But at the same time, I'd like to avoid if possible. So let's see how this progresses, because we are going to be hopefully getting at least one overtake done by the time we get to the pits. But honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. It's more of a hope. We are kind of where we want to be right now. So this first stint is going well. As you can see, we just overtaken Stroll. And we did manage to hold on to 8th and 9th, so neither of our drivers lost any confidence, really. But Gasly overtaking Stroll is going to be beneficial to us. And we also have Ocon in the wheelbase behind. And we aren't that far off. Well, potentially 4th place here. It's still going to take a little bit of work. But as you can see, Stroll, Sainz, Hamilton, all of them have basically burnt their soft tyres. That's why we're keeping up with them, because they've already destroyed their tyres pretty badly. So we'll have to see. Maybe we can take advantage of the situation, get a few more points than usual. But Sainz and Stroll there does actually pit, which leaves Ocon exposed to Alonso. But yeah, we're just going to do our strategy. The AI is going to do theirs. And we're probably going to, as I said, end up 8th, 9th, 10th maybe. Anyways, but we'll do the best that we can.
Take a look now.
We've had a little bit of an incident here with Gasly. Probably turning in a little bit too aggressive there on Alonso. And, well, we might have pulled a bit of a dirty move here in order to steal a couple of points. We'll have to see what the jury says. But Gasly has had a confidence leak as a result. So that's not great. And we did, in fact, receive a 5-second penalty that we are going to have to serve at one point. So, yeah, that's not great at all, really. So we'll have to deal with that. But it does push Alonso pretty far back. You can actually see just how far behind he is now with, well, him being almost dead last. So that puts him completely out of contention. Very, very unfortunate, and not really a move that I'm happy with. But it is what it is. It is, as I said, a tad unfortunate. But we'll just have to deal, as we now do send Ocon into pits first. Yellow flag in sector 2. Did we have another crash? Alonso pulled off a spin even too, so that low confidence really, really getting to him. That's going to be a bit of a problem. You can say Norris hasn't pitted, so we're basically still 9th and 10th. As Stroll has overtaken us here. But yeah, we'll have to see what we can pull off. Oh, sorry, we're 8th and 9th still. Gasly will be pitting this lap though. We are pushing those tires a little bit further than intended. But it should be a-okay. And we'll see exactly where we come out now once we have served that 5-second penalty. Could potentially be that we come out behind Albon. We'll have to see. Gasly here has served this penalty, is on its way out. Does come out ahead of Albon. Just
just about there. So honestly, a pretty decent pit stop from our boys here. Both of them get a bunch of clean air. Gasly is going to be in a little bit of danger here from DRS. He's probably going to get overtaken by at least one car. But we're going to also have a chance to fight back. So yeah, I think it's going to be fine. We'll just heat up our tires, get the overtake done, and then start chasing down the cars in front. As Norris is doing a wonderful job holding up Hamilton. The race up to this point has gone fairly well, with Ocon in 4th now because of pit stops. Russell, Hamilton behind, Gasly in 7th. But we are getting closer to our final pit stop, which we are actually going to do right now. We're going to be pitting Ocon. We're going to be pitting Gasly on the next lap, but as you can see, he's currently running with Hamilton. And in terms of where we do come out here, it should be ahead of Stroll. Maybe. So we do actually pull that off. And Gasly is going to have a bit of a harder time doing the same thing. But it should be viable. And Ocon here now, being stuck a little bit behind the back marker, but it's okay really. So again, race has kind of developed as we anticipated. That is the important part here now, as Gasly does pit, but I think there's no way that he comes out ahead of Stroll. Should maybe come out ahead of Magnussen. Maybe? No. Magnussen Albon is a little bit too quick. They're also on hard tires and we'll be on them till the end. So I'll probably give him a little bit of assistance getting that overtake done. And we're going to start by actually just doing a little bit of harvesting here. Sainz, Russell are going to have pretty short medium tires by the end of this. Paris is going to pit. He's not actually part of a... We're not going to fight him, so it doesn't really matter. But Sainz, Russell, in particular, are going to have absolutely destroyed tires. Same can kind of be said for Magnussen and Albon here, as well as Stroll. So we'll have to see what we can actually pull off. And I think actually harvesting here with Ocon is going to be kind of key here in order to have energy to fight with. And even if we do get stuck behind Stroll here, he does get the overtake done. Hanging with him would probably be good enough for us to snatch 7 from him by the end of this. For Gasly, we have a recharge and we're going to try and move forwards here. Maybe catch Stroll by the end. We have another incident in this race. It's Hamilton. And looks like the back marker is going to cause some problems for him. That is, I think, 3 hits to his tires. That could be another position for us, potentially. And Hamilton is still fine. But with 52% left, 10 laps, he should be fine, let's be honest. I don't think it's going to matter much. Gasly has had a little bit of problems there, actually getting the overtake done on Magnussen, but pulls it off right now. And potentially here, let's say this, 2.5. If we can gain 2.5 seconds Hamilton, who actually does pit, we actually do now have a bit of a chance to snatch some more points, as Hamilton's now behind both Gasly and Magnussen. So bit of an interesting situation here towards the end of this GP. At this point, we're going to go ahead here and recover some of that fuel that we burned through earlier. But yeah, Hamilton is going to be charging through the field right now on actually used softs. So let's see if he can catch us before the race ends. We now have a virtual safety car, as even more cars have crashed. I'm not sure about who exactly. It's Norris and Magnussen by the looks of it. And that is Magnussen getting absolutely rear-ended and sent... Norris did not just say that. Magnussen turned into him.
Stay positive on the delta.
Oh no. But yeah, that's Magnussen going to need some more components for the next race for sure. Norris eats a penalty. So even with the assassination attempt, I don't see him getting any points here, with Albon being very close and us being now in the final lap. It does, however, allow us to secure 6th and 8th in relative peace, although I don't think Hamilton would have caught up to us, and even if it did, we have enough tie here that we could just pushed ahead and gotten away from him. So everything looks good. Unfortunately, couldn't catch a Ferrari, couldn't catch Stroll. Gasly was just stuck by Magnussen for too long, couldn't get the overtake done. But it's fine. We did recover some of that driver confidence. And I think we can be happy with, as I mentioned, a 6th and 8th place here.
And VSC ending.
Now that was
So yeah, as you can see, Albon does get a point here instead of Norris. And Hamilton actually did get the point for fastest lap as well. We could probably have tried, but as you can see here, he is just thousands ahead of Verstappen's fastest lap. So let's face it, I don't think we would have gone close to that. But if we wanted to, we would have to pit in the end and still lose more points from pitting and being overtaken by a different car. So no point. Drivers then, unfortunately, Russell with his great points finish here does overtake Ocon. We are now firmly in 9th and 10th. And constructors-wise here, Mercedes does outscore us. So yeah, 5th is going to be our goal this year, for sure. And as I said, I had to kind of make this more race-focused than I wanted to, because we are kind of in the phase now where we're just going to be focusing on research more so than anything else. And next time, we're probably just going to be focused a little bit more on getting through this season. But that does take far more time to record and edit, so we'll have to see just how much free time I have this coming week. I thought it's still not 100%. You can probably hear the changes to my voice over the course of this episode as I've been recording. But I think it is good enough now that I can sit down, relax, record a little bit, and hopefully it won't be a week before the next video. So yeah, let us have a quick look at the research. Side pods, airflow middle, which is the one we really care about, 3% gained. Gained some cooling, which is also really good. Gained a bit of drag reduction. And what we are going to do here is, again, just do the exact same thing once more, focusing on probably those 3 aspects the most. Although, to be fair, we don't need a huge amount of drag reduction. Getting a huge amount of engine cooling, getting a huge amount of cornering would be nice. But drag reduction is going to be a little bit of our bread and butter because it doesn't get affected by the weight. So that is currently how I see it. But yeah. We're going to end it here. We have the Canadian GP in 11 days. We have potentially a last upgrade here in the suspension in 4 days. And then we have the front wing research completed as we go into Canada. So everything's looking good right now. As I said, probably a bit more condensed next time. But even so, hope you've enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching. And I hope to see you around next time. Bye bye.